All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Springing into Football, the third episode of our third season. I'm Ferris Tulamont, your host, alongside our original Springing into Football crew. We're glad everyone could make it tonight in the midst of a wild couple of days. Raf, Diego, and AJ, how's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good.
It's going well.
Ready
Going
to
well.
talk
All right.
football.
Ready to talk
AJ
football.
McCarron, man.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So, yeah, it's been a while since we kind of took the air together, but I mean, it couldn't have happened at a more perfect time, like with the news starting to ramp up here, being less than 100 days away from kickoff. It feels like we went for most of the offseason without much going on, but so much has happened here in just the last couple of days. Biggest stories, Diego and Co mentioning being AJ McCarron and Ted Ginn Jr., the newest head coaching hires for the Birmingham Stallions and the Columbus Aviators. What are your guys' thoughts on these hires? This is a huge move for spring football.
A+. Can I?
A+?
I'm just kidding. No, I'll give A+. No, it's not an A+. I think that this is a good hire for both Birmingham and Columbus, because Columbus needs somebody close like Ted Ginn. Went to Ohio State, first round draft pick, open to coaching, and then AJ McCarron, after pulling out of his governor race in Alabama, got the head coaching gig, and like any normal, sane quarterback who played in football at the NFL level is like, yeah, I'm gonna take the coaching gig and I'm gonna, see what I could do with it, see where I could go.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think Ted Ginn, he's close with the community. I think they want coaches to be like that this season. They want, a community sense, because that was also something we talked about a lot last season, is that they didn't really have that connection with the community, whether it was from the coaches or the players. Like we saw Memphis start to kind of, push that out towards the end of their season, but it really just was never a staple of spring football. But it's good to see now that we have guys that have been in the communities before, and I think it's going to be good. We still have 5 teams that need head coaches. AJ, Diego, did you guys have any thoughts of these recent hires here?
Yeah, I want to start off with Ted Ginn. I think that this was a great hire by Columbus. I think he's going to be one of those people who's going to be able to really just connect and just bring that passion. I mean, of course, being from Ohio State definitely helps. And I mean, no, I have no complaints with this. I think he's going to do fantastic. Of course, Cordell Jones also has a role in helping the Aviators. But moving on to AJ McCarron, I remember when the news first came out, I was a bit skeptical. I'm like, is this actually going to happen? And then I saw the news. I'm like, okay, I guess it's happening. I'm still kind of recovering from losing Skip Holtz. I mean, I know like a lot of people have speculated, probably because with these head coaches now, they have also the responsibility of taking on the general manager role, and also with this being full-time and not seasonal. But I mean, I know that this is a new approach. We've never really seen this with the other leagues. I think this is great for marketing. It's just, how is this actually going to play out when training camp begins? I know AJ McCarron has said that he has an idea of who he wants for the offensive coordinator. He's hoping for a good one in the defensive coordinator, but no, I mean, just trying to stay open-minded and just see how this goes.
Yeah, also all really great points. I'll add a couple of my points. AJ, I just wanted to hear kind of if you had any thoughts on some of these hires as well.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what everybody said so far. I think it's a good idea because it brings in the fans. It makes it feel more homey with McCarron. He's from that Birmingham area. He played for Alabama. And then Ted Ginn played for the Ohio State. So I feel like the league's trying to shift more towards that, like y'all said. And I expect some of these other upcoming hires to kind of follow suit, where they're trying to get guys who's from that area. Because I think that brings in, like y'all said, the community feelings, and then ultimately more fans in the stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That was the biggest thing for me, was really just having that community feel and establishing it, within every team. Some of my own thoughts, I really think that I've really thought of this in my own mind. Like, some of these coaches we've seen getting hired in the last couple of days, you could have them as the coaches, given with, their little experience, and really assemble an Avengers-like staff, like as we say in the media. Like, you don't need the best head coach, like, as long as you have the right surrounding, the right supporting cast, like coordinators, like Diego was saying, like AJ McCarron is already, on the search for them, and I'm sure Ted Ginn is as well. But like, as long as you have a good supporting cast, then they're ultimately the marketing tool, because they are the head coach. So everything's going to be revolving around them, and having a good supporting cast is only going to help the life of the football. So I agree with everybody's points here. I thought it was great that we got to see two, names we know in football. Like, I just told my boss yesterday, I'm like, Ted Ginn was just hired by the Aviators, and like, people know these NFL players. Like, if you've watched the NFL, like, people know these players, but they don't, maybe like not like us, fans that have watched a little bit more and know a little bit about him. They don't know that he doesn't have as much experience. So now it's about just finding the right players and the right staff to kind of go along with him. So, we can go ahead and kind of get into the next section here. So, before we get into that, so, I mean, Ted Ginn didn't have a lot of experience coming in. He was, I remember Diego sent that Reddit picture. He went to Glenville High School in Cleveland, which is where his dad, Ted Ginn Sr., is like a very well-known coach for coaching at. And he worked with the Saints, and obviously having playing experience, I would say, like, doesn't always equate to being a good coach. We've seen bad player coaches like in the past, and so no. But I think overall, I think with AJ McCarron, he's young, and the thing I'll say about AJ McCarron is that he gives us more access. He knows, like, that's what we get out of all these young coaches, is that they know, like, as us fans, like, we want more news. Like, AJ McCarron's already saying, like, he's looking for his coaches to give it. He revealed the draft dates, so it's like,
another thing that I want to add on to that point is that I saw something on Twitter a few hours ago that said AJ McCarron, he's the youngest coach in pro football. Looking at that, because he's only 35. Of course, this last season we had Peyton Pardee, who was only in his late 20s, but obviously, since he's not returning, AJ McCarron is technically the youngest. So almost like you said, he's really just gonna give a completely different perspective. This could be good or either really bad. Just have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I will say it's a lot different from Skip Holtz, and with the Aviators, like, they're getting their first ever coach, so it's a whole new thing. But like, you guys have had someone that came in every day with a great energy and a great attitude. Like, we will miss Skip Holtz. I know from even those that didn't like the Stallions because they won so much. But no, I think it's a good move for the league. It's a younger coach. It's someone that they're comfortable moving forward with. So we can go ahead, get into the next section here. So obviously Skip Holtz stepping away from the Stallions, and we'll miss him, and we'll see if he wants to pursue potentially another opportunity. Probably not in the UFL. I mean, I've heard college. I've heard I've heard college is the most realistic option for him at this point. Just he wasn't, he decided to step down, and it ultimately, let it open the door for AJ McCarron. So, and then obviously Bob Stoops retiring as well from pro football. He is done. He calls it a career. Was most recently with the Arlington Renegades, now the Dallas Renegades. A great career for Coach Stoops. We're glad that we got to witness his coaching days as well. A great career as well. Like, not just, goes beyond the UFL, definitely. So I will be missing those two coaches next year on the sideline. I'm sure you guys can also amount to that. we can go ahead. Next section here, just wanted to kind of overview Bob Stoops and Skip Holtz. So Jamar Smith sharing news on roster changes. He leaves Birmingham and kind of came out with some spontaneous tweets today about like, okay, like what's going to happen in this new league format, and how they can protect 10 players in the draft. I'll have to get more clarification from you, Diego, just because you added the topic in. I was, I'm familiar with it, just kind of more at like a surface level. So if you want to explain kind of the situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, with all these tweets that have come out about Jamar, I mean, I wasn't really sure of how to take it. I know I've definitely noticed that Jamar definitely tweets a lot more than really I think any of us expected. But I think with what's been going on, I mean, it's definitely understandable. I mean, it really sucks to see Jamar go, but I mean, he's been very vocal about the decisions that Rapoli's been making. And then he also announced that Matt Corral is likely to come back since Adrian McCarron is probably going to hire staff from Ole Miss. And then with the draft, with this, they said that there will be 2 drafts in January. One talking about those that are already contract, or under contract, I mean. And then the following day will follow with drafting new players. So, I mean, it's a bit messy, but I mean, at least we have finally a draft announcement, because that was something that was going on for months. And then training camp is expected to begin February 19th. So it's kind of funny that they said that December was going to be a quiet time, but now you have all this surge in news. But no, those are some details on that to follow.
Yeah, no, I think the details that are happening now is good. I mentioned in the pre kind of the lead up to the episode was that like we have a lot more stuff going on now, and that's good. Like 100 days from kickoff, like you want more news, you want more things to kind of hang your head around, and kind of you get more of a picture of what's going on. So we've heard a lot about coaches, so now we just kind of have to wrap that up, and then we have to get into the players, which we will briefly here in the episode, but we still have to see more from the league about that. And then, also getting into potential, I'm just trying to think like of anything else that could potentially surface here in the next couple months that would really be pivotal. But coaches is the schedule as well. The schedule's, something we'll find out probably a little bit more closer to, just kind of with the draft, having to get, having to take place. So, no, I think it'll be great. And thank you for breaking down the entire Jamar Smith on Twitter situation. So kind of what I wanted to talk about next. So we're likely to see the only head coach to be retained from last season for the 2026 season. Anthony Becht's kind of on the fence for returning, but Defenders head coach Shannon Harris, he won UFL Coach of the Year, as well as getting a championship ring with the Defenders. And I am very stoked that he's back. I'm sure you guys can say much of the same. I am glad that he's going to be with the Defenders, although it's a new team for most of it. But he will. I mean, I think he's the oldest. Fun fact: he's the oldest head coach. I was talking to Raf about this. He's the oldest head coach out of our 3 current. So the average head coaching age now is 40, because Shannon Harris is 45, Ted Ginn is 40, and AJ McCarron is 35. So the average is 40. You can see they got rid of all those guys from last year, and the head coaching age is significantly decreased. So you can see it's something that they want to do. But Shannon Harris, how do you guys think he stacks up kind of against the other 2 head coaches we've seen hired, and potentially if they're going to go in that same direction moving forward with the 5 remaining teams? Like, how do you think he stacks up given the experience? Like, obviously he has the most coaching experience, like no doubt, like that's no debate. But how do you think he will stack up next year with a mostly a new team and kind of given the circumstances around him? What do you guys think? If you want me to
I think
repeat
he
that.
has the advantage of kind of knowing the format already for the league.
Mhm.
And, this is AJ McCarron and Ted Gins, their first, time coaching. So it takes some time to, learn and get on the field and do that. So I think for DC, depending on who they get, they might have an advantage.
Yeah. And I mean, it is player dependent. I know, like, we hype Shannon Harris to be a good coach, like, as we should, but like, if they don't have the right players, if they don't have a good roster, like, it's going to be hard to win games. It's going to be hard to kind of, be consistent. But I think as long as he's, head coaching that team, I think they'll be in good shape. So, but yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of see what you guys' opinions were on that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, we haven't seen rosters. We haven't even gone through training camp, so there's not much of what we see is gonna fare out. Because Louisville doesn't have a coach yet.
Mhm.
Orlando doesn't have a coach yet. I'm
Yeah.
assuming there might take somebody, give them an AJ Smith or something, but we don't really know until training camp starts. We don't have a look until training camp starts.
Mhm.
Not even till the draft won't even have a look. So we got some a good amount of time. I'm not gonna jump the gun and say, oh, Shannon Harris losing his team, or, oh, look, Shannon Harris is going up against first-time coaches. Shannon Harris was a first-time coach, and he won a championship. So I'm not, and his resume was probably, just as good as, considered to be just as good as Ted Ginn or an AJ McCarron. So,
Mhm.
I mean, we don't know. Like you never know.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I think, like, it's not fair to jump the gun necessarily, but at the same time, it's like, like AJ said, like, he knows the format, he knows, like, how everything's gonna, play out. At least, like, in the things that he, like, in terms of the league, like, he knows, like, what the league's gonna do. He's had more time to talk with Mike Rapoli as opposed to Ted Ginn and AJ McCarron. I'm not sure, like, I mean, they've probably been in contact with Mike Rapoli for maybe a couple weeks. Like, but Shannon Harris, he probably got his phone number as soon as Mike Rapoli had invested his minority stake into the UFL. So, I think they'll just have, like, a better off the field relationship, and that could potentially help him navigate things with the team. So, we can go ahead, move on to this next part of the episode. So CJ Johnson departs the UFL to Southern University. I believe is a part of the. I'm blanking on the collegiate conference. I don't want to look. I can probably look it up, but all I know is that Southern University went 2-10 last year, and he's joining Marshall Falk's staff, who's a Pro Football Hall of Fame running back in the NFL. So he's joining them as an offensive coordinator. So good for CJ. Like, he got a great job. He's working for college, and he's working at the college level. It's a great job for him, to kind of move on and have a role all to himself. I'm sure he'll really be handy in Marshall Falk's staff. So, but yeah, I'll have to look up the collegiate affiliation here in a little bit, but. So I kind of talked about this a little bit. Obviously, we all know 5 teams still remain without a head coach. And I have been just throwing out names in the Pro Football Newsroom Discord as much as I can. Like, we just got Phillip Rivers back in the NFL, so he's, off the table. We just got, like, Teddy Bridgewater is also on an NFL roster, also a former high school coach.
Teddy Bridgewater, I'm gonna say this. Teddy Bridgewater would be the perfect Louisville coach. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if they could get him, like, that would.
Yeah.
Like, they got Ted Ginn, they got Matt Corral in there, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Just
Teddy
start
Bridgewater.
investing in, like, players that can actually make an impact.
I will make him a player coach. Let him play and coach.
No, I will say, I was talking to Diego about this. It is a shame. Like, obviously, good for him. Like, he's on an NFL roster. He's still playing at an older age, but we can't get him because the Bucs are most likely going to make the playoffs, right? The Buccaneers, which is where he is now. So that only makes more time, like that only like is more time that that the UFL like legally can't reach out to him, right? So again, great for Teddy. Like he's still playing at an old age, and he's still in the NFL. But yeah, he would definitely be a good Louisville fit. I mean, so would you guys have any names that kind of like come to mind? I've thrown out a lot, but I'm not really sure. Like, okay, coaching experience and like where they would fare. So
I think that there are two names that stick out to me. I think one is kind of an obvious candidate that people are kind of throwing around the UFL, but one name that I want to suggest is Corey Chamberlain, the former defensive coordinator of the Stallions. I think that he would make for a great head coach. I know obviously he kind of took over John Chavis's role. I think he did a fantastic job with Birmingham. I think he really just brings that energy that you need, but also he already has some general background of the UFL. And then the second name is Jaron Horton. Obviously coached the Maulers. And I mean, come on now. I mean, I've seen the comments that Ferris has shared in the Discord. Really just, he's kind of more of like a player's coach, which I think would fit perfectly for what the UFL is trying to do. And like he may even have the chance to challenge Shannon Harris a bit, obviously face off against the reigning champs. I just think that would be a fun name to see.
Yeah, no, one name that people actually, I don't think that would fly under the radar too much, but Philip Lindsay could also be another name because he has some experience in the XFL and a younger guy, but also he can coach. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen though, but that'd be a fun one to see out there.
I will say, AJ, I want you to, if you have anything, I'll let you speak, but I wanted to say this. I saw Todd Gurley as a potential name come up in the Pro Football newsroom today. And so and it was actually Jaron Horton that was like, he was endorsing it. He was saying like Todd Gurley's probably the guy I would feel the most comfortable out of AJ McCarron, Ted Ginn, and Todd Gurley. Like so that's interesting. Like I don't know what Todd Gurley has in terms of coaching experience, or like obviously we know him to be an electric player on the field in his prime, but potentially if Anthony Beck doesn't come back, do we see him go to St. Louis? So just something to think about. AJ, did you have any potential names kind of spiraling around?
I had a name until I kind of figured how they was, kind of picking the coaches. But I thought of John Gruden. One of the NFL coaches that used to be a coach, but is trying to figure out, they still want to coach.
Yeah.
Just because they have that pro knowledge, but it seems as if that now they want to go younger towards more towards the newer generation. So I mean, I don't have a name because I had a whole bunch of names, but they don't fit the criteria. So I don't really. But I think the ones y'all said was really good. And I like how the league is trying to do it. They're trying to move more because I think that can help with viewership and just the games itself with the new ideas. So
one name that that could have worked very, very well would have been Mike Vick. Michael Vick would have been a very good choice. But obviously it's not going to happen because he's at Norfolk State, which I don't know how they're doing. I haven't watched them. But
I think so. I think we have great coaches right now, like just so far, like in who they've hired. And you know what? Just in the last couple of days, in the last 2 days, we've averaged a head coaching hiring a day, which obviously we're 99 days away from kickoff. So we have some time to take, to take our time with that. But obviously sooner rather than later. And, we still have to get the staffs and we still have to get the personnel and all those things. But no, I think it'll be great. I've heard a lot of names. So update on Coach Beck. I wanted to give an update on Coach Beck. So we haven't heard anything on him. We knew, I remember seeing this. I believe he requested to interview for the University of South Florida head coaching position. Didn't ended up getting it. I am blanking about who did. Wait,
Hello.
he's the Brian Hartline. The
Brian
OS,
Hartline? What the
the
hell?
OSU OC.
Bro, that
Okay,
would
I
have,
got it.
bro, that would have been the perfect offensive coordinator in Columbus. That would have been, bro, perfect OC. Ted Ginn and Brian Hart, bro. Ohio State legend, bro. Just make the coaching staff Ohio State
No.
alumni. Just do that. That'd be perfect.
It would be pretty good. But Brian Hartline took the job in Southern Florida. So now Anthony Beck, I don't know what's going to happen, quite frankly. I don't know if he's going to want to stay in St. Louis. I don't know if he's going to want to go somewhere else. But that's really the latest update. I haven't heard much since then. I keep seeing this notes page of like all the head coaches. So Shannon Harris, Ted Ginn, AJ McCarron, and then the St. Louis one is just vacant. Like, so because I don't know if he's returning, but
It'd be really funny. We had seen what's his name? We had seen it posted on X about how funny it would be if AJ McCarron and Anthony Beck face off in week 1.
Yeah.
Like that'd be a primetime game. No.
Yeah.
What if Anthony Beck gets a coaching job underneath AJ McCarron as the assistant coach or defensive coordinator?
Talk about awkward, man.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's gonna take.
Just hear me
No,
out.
all right.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
That would
is
make
good,
sense.
but I don't know if the two.
That's not gonna happen. But I'm just saying. Or he just goes back and coaches St. Louis, and then they face off like rivals or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, listen, Anthony Beck's a good coach. Like we'd love for him to stay, but like we understand like this new league has so many different like caveats, and like so if he wasn't a return, like I totally understand. But the whole like the convincing part, I guess, is that you're getting a whole new team. So like some like players like will like you'll have a lot of guys just leaving free agency, but like this is different. Like everybody's starting fresh. So it's just a matter of like how you convince a new guy is like, okay, do you like the ownership? Like, are you gonna, get along with them well? And then number 2, it's like, okay, how am I gonna go about this? Like, am I invested like with everything the league has in place, like with the living situation and like the stadiums, like some of them being new? Like, are you invested with all of that? So those are just some questions like I would be thinking like maybe Anthony Beck or like an aspiring head coach is asking themselves.
I want to add on something.
Yeah.
2 names just came up for the possible Houston position. One, JJ Watt. I think he would be a perfect fit for Houston. Has made a fantastic career in Houston, obviously a part of the Hall of Fame. I think really he would bring the like perfect amount of energy to Houston, especially in a fan base that had declining attendance and really was just a shell of its former self. And then a second name, I mean, this is a bit more unlikely and kind of chaotic like AJ McCarron, but how about Josh Gordon coaching the Gamblers?
Okay.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Okay. No, but I think JJ Watt's a good point. Definitely. He's broadcasting right now on I believe CBS with Iron Eagle, and he he'll be allowed to because they won't. CBS is not in the rotation for Super Bowls. They do playoff games. They should do a playoff game. I know it's usually Romo and Nance, but they should be able to get on a playoff game, maybe at least for like the first weekend. So he'll have like decent amount of time, and if they were to hire him, I'd imagine it'd still be like with a couple weeks left in the regular season, like kind of, a little bit more sooner. But I don't know if JJ Watt, like that would be a good fit. He would seem like a great players coach, which as we know is something they're valuing very much. So, so we're going to go ahead. We can move on to this next part. So the UFL drafts and training camp dates revealed. So big thing that we got from AJ McCarron, like I mentioned, he's giving us more access. He's a younger coach. He wants the fan bases to know more about the league and kind of what's going on internally. So he revealed the dates. Like Diego said earlier, It was kind of interconnected with the Jamar Smith situation. There will be 2 dates and kind of for different purposes, and every team will be allowed to protect 10 players. I'll have to get more info on that. I'm not, if one of you guys are familiar kind of what that entails, go right ahead. But
I think that's more about like where they are like geographically. I think if you're
Okay,
like within like 200 miles, you will still be able to play for the team, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I do remember seeing that. I was just having a tough time kind of like regathering it in my mind. So but yeah, so exciting stuff coming up, and it's crazy. Like, we're only a month out from the draft. How many things have to go on from now? Like, imagine if we get days like this where the news is like, if we get news like this every day, like how we've gotten for the last 2 days for the next month, like that's going to be insane. Like, I don't know, like, obviously news, like just with the hires, I'm hyped to see who they got for, tomorrow's kind of the last day of the work week, Friday, so they can still hire someone, and hopefully it'll carry into next week as well. But yeah, listen, we're on a roll here. We're 2 days in a row where a head coach has gotten hired for 2 different teams. So the trend is our friend, and we'd say tomorrow would be another day they'd hire someone, and then hopefully Monday we'll see the next guy. So but yeah, so the new and hopefully improved scouting personnel model, I talked about this. So this is a little bit more related to the players themselves. So as we know, you're able to protect 10 players kind of in your geographical region, but the UFL is to follow a centralized scouting personnel model. They parted ways with all 8 general managers, with the former 8 teams. And then Doug Whaley and Russ Giglio will be in charge of personnel and administration, working directly with teams to approve and facilitate player signings. So they hired 4 guys. Some of them were former GMs in the league before the whole revamp. And my personal opinion on this, I'm not opposed to like letting the coach do more on the roster. It's just like sometimes it becomes like overbearing because they have to control so many facets of the team. Just like with what they have going on during the season, like I just don't think it's in the benefit to them. I would rather, every team, like how it was designed before, like every team to have a designated individual who handles that. But like I said, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I just feel that with how much stuff the coaches are going to have to deal with during the year with, like keeping players healthy and, doing all that stuff, like keeping them, motivated on a week-to-week basis, like getting them ready for a game. I think that stuff's like, it's going to be overwhelming to also have to deal with like a little bit of a salary cap side as well. So I will say though, it does make it interesting for the younger coaches like AJ McCarron and Ted Ginn, because they've played before, and so they know who they want if that's the case, right? Like they know who they might want, at least like when they see the draft pool when we get that revealed in January. So what do you guys think? Are you guys kind of on the same page? You think the coaches shouldn't have any type of ownership? What do you guys think?
My feelings toward this are kind of a bit mixed, because I do think that it kind of, you have a lot more like lack of transparency in making decisions. And I mean, I can see why they tried to do that, just to I guess designate routes and where like players are acquired and things like that, and just trying to build a more local presence within the markets. Well, like how effective is this really going to be?
Yeah. What about Raf, AJ? What do you guys think?
I think it's a normal choice. The biggest like downside we have is, they might recruit somebody who gets injured or who just isn't good, or someone who thought that might have had chemistry. But I don't really see much of a downside with that being like a problem. A lot of upside, because you have behind the scenes coaching. You have your coach picking out his players, either some general manager you don't like, you have to argue with about over this player, that player, which was actually a really big thing in Houston. That's why Houston failed a lot. So if you could get somebody who, the coach likes, the coach obviously will like them, bring them in, train everybody together. I think that might work out a lot better, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, AJ, did you have anything about it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it can be a lot easier for the coaches, and we see a lot better football if they can kind of mold their roster in the way that they want. If they want to get a guy that runs the offense the way they want it. So I do think it makes it a little easier. As far as like the 200 miles and the geographic part,
Yeah.
I feel like you could run into where it could handicap certain teams.
Yeah.
Because now you can only pick from a certain area rather than whoever you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how it goes for like those West Coast teams that they don't have a team over there, how they go about that. I'm sure they'll explain that. So I could see where you could run into issues, but generally I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it also opens the door for potential like reunions. Like, I mean, if Ted Ginn, like, let's just take him for an example. Like, he's the former Ohio State legend. Like, if he finds someone from Ohio State that maybe he likes, like currently, or someone that maybe got overlooked, going into the NFL and like maybe undrafted or maybe has been out of the league for a couple years, like, it just opens the door for more potential like duo opportunities. And like, quarterback head coach, like just things that could be really interesting, like AJ McCarron. Like, what if he had, I've heard Reuben Foster being a potential. This would be more like a staff move, right? Because he's a little bit older, but just like reuniting with players or coaches that from before, because they're kind of going to this younger model, is something I think will be happening a lot more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
something
I was
that-
gonna say actually one player who's went to Ohio State and still available.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, bro. Where are we at? Michael Thomas. Or Kyle
Why
McCord.
not?
You could get Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord also might be a pretty good one too.
Okay.
Kyle
I
Okay.
could see that.
I could see like we could
Okay,
see Kyle
all
McCord.
right.
Yeah, that would actually no, he left on a. That would actually not work out. Never mind.
No, yeah, he I think he finished up at Syracuse. But Diego, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, hear me out, but there is a chance that Jordan Ta'amu could play for Birmingham. I mean, he
Okay,
has
okay.
some ties to Ole Miss. I mean, I don't know if he would really be protected for DC because of the whole geographic thing, but imagine just how crazy that would be. Like, H. McCarron gets to coach his former rival on, the former DC defender. That would just, at the same time, though, that would just really just goes to show just how far spring football has come, and just really just, would just be a very interesting dynamic.
And
That was
go ahead.
actually when free agency hit the market for the first time in the UFL. That was something that was talked about, was Jordan Ta'amu going to Birmingham, and that might actually be a reality. I don't know, that could possibly happen.
No, it's crazy because now, like, when you're seeing just like AJ McCarron, how young he is, you're gonna see that it's so likely he's gonna work with at least one Battlehawks player that he played with, like whether it's on offense or whether it's on defense or special teams, like someone who was on that Battlehawks roster with him is most likely going to be coached under him. Like, isn't that? I mean, that's insane. It's like, and then for Ted Ginn, it's like, okay, are there any Ohio State guys that kind of pique his interest, or maybe a former NFL teammate, or maybe like their son, or somebody who maybe like a cousin, or just like a close, somebody that, because he definitely still has a lot of connections. So like, does anybody kind of pique his interest, like because he has a prior connection with them? So
I was just looking at something. He could get Teddy Bridgewater because he played with Teddy Bridgewater, believe it or not. So that could be another guy.
Is that would you want that player or what? Both? Well, you can't. I mean,
I feel like with Ted Ginn, that could be a player, not a coach.
Okay.
That could be a player.
Yeah. Okay. No, but yeah, no, I think, listen, that's a really interesting topic. I mean, all of these topics are great talking points. Like we could go on for days about a lot of these. So we had something in the miscellaneous notes. I put it down in the topics. So I talked about this with Raf. We've talked about this very briefly, but former UFL offensive coordinator AJ Smith releases a mobile game, World Championship flag football, quote unquote, from James Larson, combination of football, chess, and battleship, available on the App Store. Yeah, this is just interesting timing for me because we had all the news coming out, and then like maybe like the morning leading up to the Ted Ginn hiring 2 days ago, or excuse me, yesterday. And then that news just comes out at noon from James Larson. It's just like he had a string of tweets of the Ted Ginn hiring, and then bam, we just hear that AJ Smith, who we haven't heard of in a little while, comes out with his own mobile app. So, I mean that's crazy. It's just like,
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. No, I was looking at it. You know who was Ted Ginn's quarterback in his final season in the NFL? Take a guess. Take a wild guess. He currently plays for the Buffalo Bills.
no,
Mitch
Kyle
Trubisky.
Allen.
It was Mitch
okay,
Trubisky.
no.
Mitch Trubisky, final
No.
quarterback.
No,
Oh,
way.
yeah.
We could
Yeah.
probably not. I feel like Kyle Allen would actually be a closer possibility.
I thought it was Kyle Allen, but he's also there, isn't he?
And I think he was in Houston. No, actually, I don't think he's
Oh
on.
yeah. Houston.
I don't think he's on a team right now. Actually,
No, Mitch Trubisky. Imagine. I mean, yeah.
who knows? Anything can
Yeah.
happen. It's a new league, and it's
Yeah.
a cooler league, a lot cooler. Like my thing is like the UFL is like now a lot like cooler because you got better teams like the Columbus Aviators rather than the Louisville Kings. You know. So
Well, I mean, what are you saying that one's better than the other? Or I mean, because they're both.
yeah, I think that the Columbus Aviators sound a lot cooler than the Memphis Showboats.
Oh, okay.
I think so. To be honest,
I still have to pick a team, and I don't know if Raf, if you've
pick
have you
Columbus. Pick Columbus.
dude, I'm just so
I
like
could
I
see
should
you
have.
being a Louisville Kings fan, low key.
No, I'll have to take the next like day or two. From what we talked about on here, I'll have to make up my mind. But yeah, no, but I will say this. Me and Raf were talking about this. Diego, I know he's a dear friend of you, but State of the Stallions. We're not going to say that much about him on here, but he took the Skip Holtz, stepping down a little bit more to heart. You were just more professional about it, so on and so forth. But I just wanted to say, like, I mean,
All
yes.
I'm gonna say is
Yeah.
that even outside of football, things are gonna blow up. Whether it's
Yeah.
family, work, college, something's gonna come. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not just gonna give up on the league. I'm
Yeah.
still gonna be here for 2026 and beyond. So
yeah.
even if next year is the final season, I'll still be here until the day, it's folding or whatever. I'll still be here. So I'm not gonna accuse anyone. I think State of the Stallions has put some great stuff out there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep this with an open heart.
Yeah, no, he was State of the Stallions. If you're watching, I mean, I don't know if you are or are not, but he took his heart out when he found out AJ McCarron was hired as the offensive coordinator, the head coach. He took his heart out on X. I'm reading, and he's like, yeah, they're comparing the signing to Trent Dilfer, and I'm like, bro, this does not make any sense to Trent Dilfer. Like Dilfer, coached high school, and that's sort of disrespect to McCarron. McCarron has no coaching experience at all, and I'm like, bro, why are you so mad about this? Like, step down, bro.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, no, I think it's a wild time in spring football, and it's something we've been waiting for is more news, but I just wish there was more of a transition than rather everything kind of being crammed in like this week. But again, I'm not complaining. It's just, it's a lot of stuff to kind of process. So trying to see what else we had. So not as recent news was the last kind of talking point in the topics list that I had. So Kurt Menefee will be coming back for another spring football season. He's been a great voice for us on, I believe.
Oh, he left the meeting.
Uh-oh.
Oh man.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I refreshed the page on accident. So Kurt Menefee will be returning to Fox Sports, the UFL broadcasting in 2026. And yeah, it should be great to hear him back. I'm interested to see. We'll also get the broadcasting lineups here and probably closer to the season. Probably maybe a day or two after the schedules come out is what I'd imagine. And then kind of earlier to what AJ was saying, Mike Rapoli, talking about went on the podcast with David Portnoy and Barstool Sports, and how John Gruden could be a potential name to floating around, but that's why we put it in the not as recent, because as we see, they're kind of going in a different direction. So it would be unlikely for them to entertain Gruden like at this point. But I don't know. I mean, but yeah.
I got the answers.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, let's get like a final opinion from everybody. So like, are you in favor of this younger coaching
Yes.
philosophy? So Raf says yes. Did you guys like how they're trying to get guys with maybe not as much experience, but they have playing experience?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think I came in like very mixed about it. I'm like, is this really gonna be a thing that's really gonna work? I mean, I am very open to it, because I mean, this could be a great thing. It could really just inspire not just players to get into the NFL, but it could really inspire a new generation of coaches, really get their resumes going and potentially get them to land some college and NFL jobs. So I mean, I think they're they always dub the XFL as the league of opportunity, and I think they're trying to follow somewhat of the same trend into the UFL. So, I mean, I'm just trying to go into this, like I said, with an open mind, just see what happens.
Yeah, AJ, what about you? Are you in favor? Not in favor? What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I like the
Like
way they kind of pick the teams, picking markets that don't necessarily have professional teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because kind of like Birmingham, you got Columbus, Louisville, Orlando. They got teams around them, but in the springtime, you got other leagues going on. But I think when you pick a team like Louisville, who doesn't have a pro team, those fans might get more into it, especially if you make it, depending on who you pick as the coach and how they're making it more local. So I think it's definitely something they should try, because it can make the league so much better and make it seem more of a homey, more of a local, rather than we just watching 8 teams play every week that we have no connection to.
Yeah, I know. I think that definitely makes a great point. And like how Diego was saying, like being coined as the league of opportunity, like you don't need the best coaching resume and to coach in this league. Like you can have, a decent NFL career, if even that. Like you can have a decent NFL career and still come into this league with an open mind and be a good head coach. Like everything from like Ted Ginn, like obviously he was a NFL player for a lot of years, 14 years, but it's all gone now. Like he's just focused on the team. Like he's obviously, the NFL career is kind of like what's holding him, together, like in terms of, because he doesn't have a lot of external experience, but he's just locked in on the team success at this point. Like he's not thinking about his NFL career and kind of like what that's going to translate to. He's just going to be, trying to keep that team. He had like a press conference, I think they held today for him, kind of over Zoom. That kind of like, he was just saying like, okay, you have to be a player first coach to really succeed in this league. And that's kind of like, that's the direction they're going. Like, these coaches are going to connect with the players for sure a lot more. And it's going to give us more mic'd up opportunities. It's going to give us, good sideline moments and all of the above. So, but yeah, Raf, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
Nope. I think you said everything right. I'm very excited to see Ted Ginn coach. He's one of my favorite kick returners, which people don't really know this, but Ted Ginn actually has a very similar kick return career as Devin Hester. So it's a true story, actually. Look, you can look up the stats side by side. Like they're very similar, very, very similar. So Ted Ginn, very underappreciated as a player throughout a lot of his career, and I'm very excited to see him coach. Very, very excited.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he was getting a lot of backlash in the early going, but I think, like I said, like it doesn't matter. It might necessarily not, like it definitely matters if you have coaching experience, but like we don't even have the players, we don't have the rosters. So like until we have the rosters, like you can't make a judgmental decision on like how these coaches are going to pan out. So I think it's it's going to be good for sure. So yeah. So anything else you guys might have? Potential names, we've talked about those, and I'm excited. I mean, we got one more day of the week here where things can kind of happen, and then next week we'll have hopefully a lot more news. But yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining. We had a great time here getting the original crew back together. Tune into more episodes. Hopefully we can record a little bit more here as the off season kind of ramps up, getting closer to the regular season. AJ, Diego, Raf, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.